Only beginnings are accomplished here. Our basis matter seems alone complete, an absolute machine without a soul.
So now Sri Aurobindo is talking about this lower plane of existence, body, life, and mind,
Mm,
just below the spiritual planes of existence. But it's a big leap to even the first plane, which is the higher mind.
mm,
So he says, he's speaking about earth now, that only beginnings are accomplished here on earth. And our basis matter seems alone complete. Well, this has been the raison d'etre of science since the beginning. Only what I can see, touch, feel, hear, taste matters. That's the experience that science has been under, and now suddenly they are thrown into a world of total unknowing because of this new Webb telescope. It's shown galaxy after galaxy after galaxy, and they thought there was a Big Bang here. Of course, some would ask, who was there before the Big Bang? And science could never answer that. But Sri Aurobindo is talking now about our life now, our life and even matter being not fundamentally real. Matter is only a structure of energy. So our basis matter seems alone complete. It's enough for us at this level of our experience, or seems to be. It even seems to be an absolute machine without a soul, because who knows what the soul really is? Who has seen it? Who has felt it? Who has experienced it? Okay, so we'll continue on because he's going to go into this quite intensively.
or all seems a misfit of half ideas, or we saddle with the vice of earthly form, a hurried, imperfect glimpse of heavenly things, guesses and travesties of celestial types.
Okay, everything here seems a kind of misfit of half ideas. This scientist has this philosophy. This philosopher has another philosopher. This yogi says something totally different. So everything seems a misfit. Nothing is coming together. Or we saddle. To saddle means to load or burden or charge. We saddle with vice of earthly form, a hurried, imperfect glimpse of heavenly things. So, this vice of earthly form that we encumber, that we charge with, seems to be just a hurried, imperfect glimpse of heavenly things. Because we do see things on earth. Well, if we're a little bit open psychically, we can see the beauty of a flower opening. We can see dolphins in the sea and communicating with each other. And so many things we can see, but they're only a hurried, imperfect glimpse of heavenly things. And they're even guesses and travesties. Travesties is a grotesque imitation. So we see these grotesque imitations of celestial types. We see this imperfect glimpse. We see guesses of these types. We see exaggerated, grotesque imitations of these types. And then he's going to tell us much more about what we are seeing.
Here, chaos sorts itself into a world, a brief formation drifting in the void, apings of knowledge, unfinished arcs of power, flamings of beauty into earthly shapes, love's broken reflexes of unity, swim, fragment, fragment mirrorings of a floating sun.
Oh, and it's so beautifully written, but It's also very powerful. So chaos, and of course there are chaos theories, many of them, that sort itself into a world. All these different chaotic things seem to finally exist in this world as realities. Chaos sorting itself into a world. And it's even a brief formation, this world, that is drifting in the emptiness. Because how do we know when or if the sun is going to destroy itself? Many, many philosophies are there. We see them all over the internet. But the sun for Sri Aurobindo is only a reflection of the divine presence. So chaos sorts itself into a world. It's a brief formation drifting in the void. Apings. Apings are imitations, mimicking. So they're just mimicries of knowledge, imitations of knowledge. They're unfinished arcs of power. They're flamings of beauty into earthly shapes. And that we can easily see. We know when we see beauty in an ancient person, we can feel that beauty in that earthly shape. We can feel it in a beautiful girl too, or a beautiful man. There's no question. But it is fragmentary. Huh? It's we don't know if that person is good or bad within. We see these loves, broken reflexes of unity. Isn't that amazing? Huh? Broken reflexes of unity that are swimming like fragment mirrorings, little pieces of mirrors of a floating sun. And the book continues.
A packed assemblage of crude tentative lives are pieced into a tessellated whole.
Yeah. So these crude tentative lives, all the earthly people gathered together, it's a packed assemblage. It's a gathering of tentative lives. Why tentative? Because they die. They're not here permanently. Nothing here is here permanently. Are pieced into a tessellated whole. Tessellated is like a mosaic or checkered whole.
There is no perfect answer to our hopes. There are blind, voiceless doors that have no key. Thought climbs in vain and brings a borrowed light. Cheated by counterfeits sold to us in life smart, our hearts clutch at a forfeited heavenly bliss.
Forfeited,
Forfeited.
yes, forfeited. And there was one other one, counterfeits.
Counterfeits.
Not feats or feats, but counterfeit. So we see that all these things are pieced into a tessellated whole, and therefore there is no perfect answer to our hopes. Of course, now he's speaking of humanity here, and well, it applies to us as well. There are blind, voiceless doors that have no key. Yeah, we enter this door of lust, or we enter this door of the lower vital, which admits occult forces. So they're blind and they're voiceless doors. They don't have any key. And then there's a semicolon because he wants to know that even thought climbs in vain. But even though it climbs, it brings a borrowed light. Huh. cheated by counterfeits, sold to us in life's mart. Wow, our hearts clutch at a forfeited heavenly bliss. Forfeited is, of course, something that you lose, like a consequence of a fall, something like that. We understand forfeited. Many people forfeit their soul to the devil, the Christians say. Okay. So I think that's all clear for you.
Yes.
We can move on.
There is a provender for the mind's.
There, provender.
There is a provender for the mind's.
There's no A. There is provender.
There is provender for the mind's satiety.
Satiety. Satiety. Satiety.
Satiety.
Yes.
There is provender for the mind's satiety. There are thrills of the flesh, but not the soul's desire.
This is very important. Provender is food, provisions. Provender is provisions. So there is food for the mind's satiety. Now, satiety is the desire for gratification, full or excess even. So it's the condition of having any appetite or desire gratified to the full or to excess. Very, very important word. So he tells us there is provender for the mind's satiety. There are thrills of the flesh, but not the soul's desire. And that, I would say, is the way 99.9% of the world lives. We need food, we need sleep, we need sex, and we need clothing and normal things of life. But there is not the soul's desire. We have to go to the next page now. 78.
Here, even the highest rapture time can give is a mimicry of ungrasped beatitudes, a mutilated statue of ecstasy, a wounded happiness that cannot live, a brief felicity of mind or sense, thrown by the world power to her body slave, or a simulacrum of enforced delight in the seraglios of ignorance.
Wow. I mean, he's really hitting us hard here. Okay. Because even the highest rapture that time can give here on earth to us is a mimicry of ungrasped beatitudes. It's a copy, imitation of ungrasped beatitudes. It's even a mutilated statue of ecstasy. It's a wounded happiness that cannot live. It's a brief felicity of mind or sense thrown by the world power, hyphenated, both capitalized, to her body slave, or a simulacrum of enforced delight in the values of ignorance. A simulacrum is a representation of something, a vague semblance of something, a superficial likeness, we could say. Now, in the seraglios of ignorance, it can be used figuratively, but I feel that it is like a harem. The concubines and wives are kept.
Okay.
These seraglios of ignorance. But if we see it figuratively, it's not so, what shall I say, picturesque or visible as a figurative statement. Seraglios of ignorance. They're places that are secluded places of ignorance, we could say. Now, I have to go a little early today, so we go a little bit more.
Okay. For all we have acquired soon loses worth, an old disvalued credit in time's bank, imperfections check drawn on the inconscient.
We'll stop there because this is very important. I mean, these three lines. We have worth, we have credit, we have a bank, and we have a check.
Yeah.
See how Sri Aurobindo weaves everything together so perfectly, huh? For all we have, and there's acquisition too, for all we have acquired soon loses worth. And what is it? It's just an old disvalued, and not that something that has no value, a disvalued credit in time's bank. And then he says, it's even imperfections check that is drawn on the inconscient. Couldn't be worse. So please read everything and we'll finish.
Only beginnings are accomplished here. Our basis matter seems alone complete, an absolute machine without a soul. Or all seems a misfit of half ideas, or we saddle with the vice of earthly form, a hurried imperfect glimpse of heavenly things, guesses and travesties of celestial types. Here chaos sorts itself into a world, a brief formation drifting in the void. Apings of knowledge, unfinished arcs of power, flamings of beauty into earthly shapes, love's broken reflexes of unity, swim, fragment mirrorings of a floating sun. A packed assemblage of crude tentative lives are pieced into a tessellated whole. There is no perfect answer to our hopes. There are blind, voiceless doors that have no key. Thought climbs in vain and brings a borrowed light, cheated by counterfeits, sold to us in life's smart. Our hearts clutch at a forfeited heavenly bliss. There is provender for the mind's satiety. There is provender for the mind's satiety. There are thrills of the flesh, but not the soul's desire. Here, even the highest rapture time can give is a mimicry of ungrasped beatitudes, a mutilated statue of ecstasy, a wounded happiness that cannot live, a brief felicity of mind or sense, thrown by the world power to her body slave, or a simulacrum of enforced delight in the seraglios of ignorance. For all we have acquired soon loses worth, an old disvalued credit in time's bank, imperfections checked, drawn on the inconscient.
Very good reading. Making a lot of progress.
Thank you. Namaste.